Going back on the record, the time is 10:37 a.m.
I want to talk a little bit about going back to the Dream Wall from Vision 2017. Did you take a picture of it, or do you know if anyone at the company took a picture of it to keep?
Yes. I don't know who took the photo. I believe there is a photo.
Good to know. Do you know where it would be? Or who would have it?
It might be on my phone, but no, outside of that.
Next exhibit. I've just handed you Exhibit 65, LLR-WA00006791. And it looks like you're the author of this top email, is that right?
Yes.
What was the Success Live tour?
It was Facebook Live training or live video selling training.
And in June of 2018, were you still in leadership and culture development?
Yes.
So on the second page, you see where the font changes, and it says Success Live Nationwide Tour. And
Yes.
then the last paragraph, it says, these events should be similar to how Super Saturdays have previously been and currently are being executed. What are Super Saturdays?
It's a retailer gathering. I don't know specifically what sort of things they discuss on there, but they're typically gatherings of retailers to help them improve their businesses.
Who organizes Super Saturdays?
No specific person.
Are they organized by IFRs?
Yes.
Typically, does anyone from home office attend?
No.
Does LuLaRoe provide any support in helping IFRs to plan or host Super Saturdays?
If the retailers ask us to.
What kind of support?
I don't know specifically.
Would they provide handouts or presentations for Super Saturdays?
If a retailer had asked for some presentation.
Is the Super Saturday designed to be a sales event?
No.
What is it designed to be?
Like I said, it depends on what the retailer's needs and why they're creating the Super Saturday. It could be various different topics.
You see in the second sentence under Super Saturday, it says, you do not have to lead this training alone. Was Super Saturday...
I'm sorry, I'm not... What page is this on?
Same page. So after the sentence where it says Super Saturdays,
Okay.
it says, you do not have to lead this training alone. I understand when they say training, this refers to the Success Live Nationwide Tour event. Is that right?
I have the Super Saturdays. Are you asking me that if the Super Saturdays and the Success Live Nationwide Tour are associated?
Are they training events?
I don't know if the Super Saturday are specifically training events.
Okay, how would you describe what they are then?
Object is asked and answered.
Like I said, it depends on why they're creating the Super Saturday.
What might be a reason why a retailer creates a Super Saturday?
Because they want to get to know the other retailers in the local area.
Okay, so is it a social event?
Could be.
Could it be a training event?
Yes.
Could it be a sales event?
No. Well, I mean, if they wanted it to be a sales event, they could.
Okay. Later on in the paragraph that we've been reading, do you see where it says HO will attempt to provide in-person support presence? HO refers to home office, is that right?
Yes.
So for the Success Live nationwide tour events, it appears from this email that home office, if they could, might provide a person to support the event. Is that right?
If there was someone available,
Okay.
and if yeah.
Did you ever provide support for a Success Live nationwide tour event?
I don't know specifically.
Did you ever travel for the Success Live nationwide tour?
I don't know specifically.
You don't know, you don't recall.
I don't. Sorry, in my brain they're the same thing. Sorry, I don't recall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would LuLaRoe have provided a home office support person for a Super Saturday event?
Object to the form. Again, foundation.
If there was time, but typically, not usually. That's why the word attempt.
Okay. Did you ever attend a Super Saturday event?
Yes.
How many did you attend?
I don't know. I don't recall specifically.
More than 5?
No.
More than 10? Sorry, less than 5?
Yes.
Do you recall specifically a Super Saturday event that you attended?
Yes.
Which one?
Salt Lake.
Where was it held?
The Little American Hotel.
Roughly how many people attended?
I don't recall.
Less than 10?
No.
More than 10?
Yes.
More than 20?
Yes.
More than 50?
That gets vague. I don't recall.
So more than 10, maybe around 50?
No, I don't recall specifically, but it's above 50. It gets vague. So
Okay. Can we look at the next page ending in 6793? Do you see where it says choosing a date, choosing a venue, and registration?
yes.
Were mentors typically responsible for helping to coordinate the logistics of the Success Live nationwide tour?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Were you responsible for coordinating the logistics?
No.
Did you visit Seattle in 2018?
I don't recall.
Do you recall tagging along to on any trips to attend any Success Live nationwide tour events?
I don't recall.
In 2018, had your role at LuLaRoe changed from what you were doing in 2017?
I don't recall.
I am marking as Exhibit 66 LLR-WA 000327114. So if you turn to the second page of the presentation where it says Q Club Expectations, what is the Q Club?
Retailers who are awaiting to be onboarded.
Is there a Q Club today?
No.
Is there a Q today?
Define Q.
Q as used in the same way as it was used in Q Club, like a wait to onboard.
There is a wait to onboard.
How long is that wait?
I couldn't tell you specifically. I know it was once, like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the length of the wait to onboard has varied over time.
Yes.
Do you remember when the Q Club first formed?
No.
Were you involved in Q Club calls?
Yes.
What are the 7 C's of trust? It's on the fourth to last page of the presentation, ending in 32726.
Let's see here.
Go back 2 pages. Oh, there you go.
Here we go. This is a graphic made off of a speech that Simon Sinek gave once upon a time.
Who's Simon Sinek?
He is the author of the book previously described, Find Your Why.
Got it. Whose idea was it to use the Simon's philosophy in the LuLaRoe business? Was that your idea?
No.
Check to the form.
Okay. Do you remember who first introduced the book to you?
No.
Was it introduced to you by someone at LuLaRoe?
I don't recall.
But you do recall it being promoting the book on, not promoting, you do recall talking about the books with IFRs.
Yes.
So make sure this stays with the, because this is all one
Oh,
exhibit.
thanks.
So you get to-
Okay.
I am marking as Exhibit 7 LLR-WA 000400259. 67, sorry. Jordan, do you recognize the presentations attached to this email?
Yes.
Were they created by Team Lula Lovelies? Yes.
That's what it says.
And who is on Team Lula Lovelies?
I do not know specifically.
Is it led by Ashley Lataha?
I don't know specifically.
Do you recognize this as presentations created by an IFR?
Yes.
So if you look at the first page of the email, do you see there are names listed in the to line and the CC line?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are these names of IFRs?
Yes.
Is there anyone from home office in the to or CC line?
No.
Do you see where the subject line says re-recording and slides from follow-up Zoom?
Yes.
We talked about Zoom earlier. Is Zoom like a video conferencing program?
Webinar, online meeting, yeah.
Okay. So from this email, it appears you may be forwarding the listed IFRs a copy of PowerPoints that you used during the presentation. Is that right?
Yes.
How often did you use materials created by IFRs in your presentations to IFRs?
I don't know specifically how often.
More than once?
Yes.
Pretty frequently, would you say?
Check to the form.
Not frequently.
Before you used materials created by IFRs on LuLaRoe webinars, were you required to run the IFR materials by any other departments?
No.
Were you required to run it by any of your colleagues on the leadership and culture development team?
No.
So if an IFR sent you a presentation and you thought it was great, you could decide to use it on a training if you wanted to.
It depends on the content, but it depends on the size of the webinar, it depends on the context of the webinar, it depends on what the webinar is for, it depends on what's in there. I don't know specifically in what reason or way I would ask for permission. So it depends on how I was feeling that day.
Okay. So you had you didn't have anyone looking over your shoulder in terms of, what specific presentations you were using on the webinars?
We were all in the same room, aware of the same webinars. No one was ever looking over everybody's shoulders. We worked congruently together.
Great. That's helpful. Thank you. Apologize for all the paper.
We finished this with this one?
Yes.
Okay.
I am marking as Exhibit 68 LLR-WA 000444611. And this appears to be an email so if you look at the second email on the first page, it appears that Ben Ward CC'd you on an email that contained a link to a coach's call recording. Do you see that?
Yes.
Why why do you think Ben CC'd you on this email?
Check to the form. Calls for speculation.
I'm asking for your opinion on why you think he sent you this email.
I don't know. I can't recall.
This email was sent for business purposes, right?
Object to the form.
Yes.
Do you recall that LuLaRoe had a relationship with Oliver Luckett?
Object on foundation.
Yes.
What was the relationship?
I don't recall specifically the relationship.
Oliver Luckett is a social media expert. Is that right?
By whose standards?
How would you characterize
I-
what his role at LuLaRoe was?
Outside advisor? I don't know. I don't know specifically. I'm sorry.
Did you work with him at all?
I listened to him.
You listened to him as part of a training?
No. He was in the office various times. He spoke on stage and was on occasional webinars. So I just listened to him.
Did he speak about social media use?
Yes.
Do you recall any other topics of expertise that he spoke about?
No.
Do you recall seeing the presentations attached to this email?
No.
Who brought in Oliver Luckett to work with LuLaRoe?
I do not recall.
It wasn't someone on your team.
I don't recall.
I'm marking on it as Exhibit 69, Lindsay 009873.
I got it.
And this appears to be an email from you to Lindsay Wheeler. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you read the text above the chart out loud?
Good morning, Lindsay. Below are those on your team that have registered for leadership as of yesterday. What can I do to help you reach out to the rest of the active leaders on your team to encourage them to attend leadership in October?
We talked earlier about your role in leadership and culture development. At this time in September 2018, were you still part of that team?
Yes.
Okay. When did you leave that team?
Shortly after that,
Why did you leave the team?
I was needed in a different department.
Which department?
Marketing.
When you say the marketing department, what were your responsibilities in the role that you left the leadership and culture development team for?
Whatever they were needing. I answered the question before. What team was running lean. They asked me to go there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Generally, what does the marketing department do?
They design the color palettes for social media. There's the video production department in there. There's the, let's see, there's various different things. Marketing department isn't really a marketing, it's more of a branding department.
Oh.
Mislabeled, in my opinion.
Okay, and so when you sent Lindsay this email, were you helping to plan for the October leadership event in 2018?
No.
Okay, then why did you reach out to Lindsay?
Lindsay and I were, I don't know why I specifically was reaching out to Lindsay at this time, but this was an account of the leaders on her team that I was encouraging her to reach out to see if they would like to attend leadership.
Compared to prior leadership events, was there less interest in registration for this one?
I don't know specifically.
Were you involved in encouraging mentors to encourage their teams to sign up for leadership?
According to this email, I was.
Did you ever have that responsibility outside of 2018?
I don't recall.
Sorry if I'm boring you.
No, you're not boring me. My wheels are spinning trying to figure out the timeline. You have to forgive me. My timelines are just scattered.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I'm marking for Exhibit 70 LLR-WA 000062193. You're a recipient on this email, is that correct?
Yes.
Great. And do you see where it's entitled Leadership and Development Team?
That's who it's addressed to.
Yes. From this email, does this refresh your timeline a bit as to that you were still on the Leadership and Development Team in November 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Who's Mindy Skaggs?
She is an employee at LuLaRoe.
Did you work with her closely on the Leadership and Development Team?
No.
Do you see where it mentions opportunity calls?
Oh, yes.
What is an opportunity call?
It's a call describing the opportunity of LuLaRoe.
And what is that opportunity?
I am not aware. I wasn't in charge of the opportunity calls.
Who was in charge of the opportunity calls?
I do not know.
Did you ever speak on opportunity calls?
Yes.
How many?
I could not be specific, I'm sorry.
More than one?
Yes.
Who typically led the opportunity calls?
It varied depending on who was in the office and what time of year it was.
Did Mark sometimes lead opportunity calls?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. What about Deanne?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else specifically come to mind as having led opportunity calls more than once?
No.
Who's Nicole Smith?
I don't know.
You didn't work with her at LuLaRoe.
No. Well, I don't know.
You don't recall her.
I'm trying to think of these names. I don't recognize them.
That's okay.
Whitney, Lauren, Whitney.
If you turn to the second page, do you see under where it says number 8? It says someone on the training and development should do the opportunity call in Deanne's place.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is training and development a department, a team?
It was a team.
Who's on that team?
Jarrett Ingram, Christian White, Ben Ward, and Jordan Brady.
Was that it? That sounds like the same team as the leadership and culture development.
Isn't that what you just asked me?
Oh, the training and development.
Oh,
Is that a different team?
I don't. That was the assumption of me reading over specific words, but the leadership development team, that's who I just referred to.
Okay. When it says someone on training and development should do the opportunity call in Deanne's place, and then this email was forwarded to you and Ben and some others, was the expectation that someone on the leadership and development team would take Deanne's place on this specific opportunity call?
I don't know what Nicole is needing or why she was referring this to everybody on that email.
Do you recall leading any opportunity calls in the past 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall this call specifically?
No.
I want to talk to you for a moment about field reports.
Sure.
What do you know about them?
They're a breakdown of your team and the data on your I don't know the specific data, but I'm sure if I saw one I could show you, but based off of different data that your team is either doing that the back office calculates, or either sales, purchases, and various different. Yeah, it's just an update report for the leaders to see the numbers on their teams.
Okay. So when you say leaders, are you referring to mentors only or others in rank as well?
I don't know who has access to the report.
Okay. I'm handing you exhibit number 29 that has been marked previously for deposition. And it appears on this email, you are sending Lindsay Wheeler instructions on how to make the field monthly report. Are only mentors required to submit a field monthly report or a field report on a monthly basis?
I don't know of anybody who's required to submit field reports.
Oh, are field reports optional?
I don't know that they're optional or required.
Okay. Do you know if coaches typically fill out field reports?
I don't recall.
Did you create the video that you sent to Lindsay about field report instructions?
This one, yes.
What do you recall about that video?
Teaching her how to go through her back office, how to sort, how to look up a name, how to, if she needed to, how to calculate over months of time.
You seem like you're
basic Excel numbers like sum or sum. It's just copy and paste stuff. It's not, yeah.
Okay. You seem like a pretty software savvy guy. Was one of the things that you generally did at LuLaRoe would be, for example, to create this kind of instruction if an IFR asked for it?
Object to the attorney characterization. You can answer her question.
No. It wasn't typical for me to do this.
So you were just doing Lindsay a favor?
No. She asked for it, and she wanted guidance on how to create and understand her numbers better. And that's not a favor.
Okay.
Yeah. It took a long time.
On the marketing team, do you ever edit videos?
No.
Who edits videos?
The people on the video editing team.
Okay. But you do know how to run like Zoom video conferences, for example?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something that you did on a regular basis at LuLaRoe?
Yes. See ya.
So go.
When did LuLaRoe first start having field trainers webinars?
I don't recall.
What is a field trainer?
That's not a name we typically use. Thank you.
I am marking as Exhibit 71, LLR-WA 000222428. You're a recipient of this email, is that right?
Yes.
Does this email refresh your recollection about a field trainers webinar being hosted on September 26, 2018?
No. But I'm speaking.
Okay.
If you're asking if I specifically remember this, no, I don't.
How was this webinar different from, for example, an update webinar?
Give me a minute. Repeat the question, please.
How is this webinar different from, for example, an update
Webinar.
webinar?
An update webinar usually consisted of updates on product or upcoming events or just depending on what was happening in the week before or some things that they might need to know for the upcoming week.
Was the update webinar open to all IFRs?
Yes.
What about Train the Trainers webinars? Who were they open to?
Trainers?
Did you come up with that name?
No.
What about coaches webinars? Who were they open to?
Coaches? I mean, let's be honest, those links weren't private, so if anybody had them, we can't really tell who's on them and who's not. But their named associates who they were for.
Who LuLaRoe intended them for?
Yeah.
Is that right? So for this field trainers webinar, how is this different from the types of calls or webinars we just discussed?
I'm sorry, would you re-ask that question?
Yeah. I'm trying to understand why this is called the field trainers webinar and how it was different from the other calls.
So, we had a lot of trainings back then, and we still do. It's just whether they were together or separate. How did they differ? Most of the time they didn't. They were just told to different groups of people.
Okay. So were field trainers a specific group of people within the leadership ranks?
I don't know what a field trainer is.
Who would have been the audience for this webinar?
Trainers.
Oh, trainers.
Yes.
Got it. All right, so this webinar was intended for trainers.
I don't know, without reading the whole transcript, I can't tell you who this webinar was for. But I can tell you that title is not one that we use at home office.
Okay. Okay. So if you turn to the page ending in 22443, and you go down about 10 lines, there's a sentence starting with, "So, Lindsay Wheeler."
Okay.
Can you read from there to the end of the paragraph? Out loud.
Give me some context first.
Oh, yeah,
Give me a
sure.
minute. No, not you. Let me read real quick for a minute before I
Okay.
answer that. Okay, where would you like me to look again, please?
Starting at "So, Lindsay Wheeler."
Okay.
Or Art McCracken mention anything about a leader's efforts needing to be duplicatable?
Yes?
In what context?
Well, like their time management, their their knowledge of the product, just basic things, yeah. I don't know specifically what they would have referred to, if that's what you're asking.
But you heard this concept of,
Not of a leader.
not of leader, but of whom?
Just generally, you want to have a replicatable business.
What do you mean by replicatable business?
I don't know what the company's definition of replicatable business is.
What is your understanding of what it means?
To replicate means to repeat, or to, what's the legal I don't know what the legal definition of replicate, but to repeat, or to mirror, or I don't know.
So in that context, using your words, is it fair to say that LuLaRoe wanted IFRs to run their business in a way that could be repeated by other IFRs as well?
Object on form and foundation.
I don't know what they were referring to.
What were you referring to when you said repeatable?
Repeatable means to repeat, to do again.
Do again in the context of one IFR being able to replicate what another IFR is doing?
I mean, that's what replication means.
So earlier you had talked about the link. Sorry, my mic fell off. The link for webinars not being private. Is that right?
Object to the form, misstates.
If I send a link, or we send a link, or whoever sends a link of any kind to somebody else, and they send it to someone else, that's the definition of private, right? So intent, as opposed to who it was being shared with, are two totally different things.
Okay. So is it possible that Tuesday Update webinars, is it possible that Train the Trainers transcripts could have been shared with people who were not trainers?
Object to the form, there are transcripts.
Yes, it is possible.
Is it possible that transcripts of coaches' calls could have been shared and viewed by someone who was not a coach?
Same objection.
It's possible.
Generally speaking, in the recording of calls to IFRs that you were involved in, were any links made private?
I don't recall.
Generally speaking, were the links public?
I don't recall. Like, what do you mean by public or private? I understand what public and private means, but there's a whole process to developing the link, so it...
Okay. So for trainers and coaches calls, did you ever go through the process of making the link private?
No.
Okay. Did you ever go through the process of making the link private for any webinar that you were involved in?
To test the theory of if we could, yes. I mean, there's multiple faceted systems in Zoom. So
What about in practice?
what do you mean in practice?
In practice, like for a coach's call, did you
Oh,
ever
you mean
regularly?
actual implementation?
Yes.
I don't recall.
So why did LuLaRoe create transcripts of webinars with IFRs?
Object to the form.
Why? Repeat the question.
So, I mean, so this is a transcript
Sure.
of a call that happened, right?
Objection misstates the document intentionally now.
So is this Was the, sorry. So if you look back to the email, the cover email, for Exhibit 71, the email states, "Hello, please attach the transcript for the above mentioned event." Do you see that?
Uh-huh.
Is the document attached the transcript that is referred to in this email?
Object to the form.
I don't see the link on the front of this email, so I can't confirm or deny that fact.
Do you see where it says attachment? Attachments 092618 _, LuLaRoe Field Trainers .docx?
Yeah.
Right. That document is the document LR-WA0024222429.
How do I know that? And I don't mean to be confrontational. I'm just asking, like,
Yeah, and just to be clear, the nature of my objection is not to try and suggest anything that this attachment isn't associated or that the email didn't call it a transcript, but it's a captioning. So that's what it is. That's all my objection is.
Okay.
As we saw from the text, there's tons of gibberish and typos in here. So it is what it is.
So was this created for business purposes? Was the document ending in 22429 created for business purposes?
yes.
What was that business purpose or purposes?
To attach, well, I mean, it's multifaceted. It was, from my understanding, the only reason that I was involved, that we had closed captioning, was to help the deaf community who were possibly watching that webinar.
Yeah. And so LuLaRoe actually has a number of IFRs who are deaf, is that right?
Yes.
And to communicate with those IFRs, LuLaRoe provides closed captioning for webinars, is that right?
Oh, or sign language interpreters. Yes.
Generally speaking, did you ever post copies of captioning records or transcripts of calls to a website, such as LuLaRoeFashionFund.com?
No.
Did you ever post them to any other public site, or sorry, any other site that retailers could access?
They would have been linked to the video. They would have been embedded. We wouldn't have posted the caption.
Got it. So did you post, were the videos posted on a site that was available to retailers?
It depends on what the video was and what it was recorded for, time of day, context. It's all situational.
Okay. Let's talk about Tuesday update webinars for a minute.
Sure.
Was that a video that was typically posted to a site made available for IFRs?
No.
Okay. What about coaches' calls?
Don't recall.
Were they sometimes posted?
It depends on context or training requests. So if we would receive requests to get it, or if, yeah, it depends on the relevance of the training.
Okay. So if you got a training request to have it posted, where would it be posted?
LuLaRoeFashionFund.com.
Okay. Let's talk about LuLaRoeFashionFund.com for a minute. What was the purpose of that website?
I don't know when it was created.
I didn't ask you when it was created, but like, what was it for?
I don't know what the purpose of it was when it was created. Right now, it's a place to put training content and inspirational thoughts and tools and assets for retailers to access to help better their businesses.
Okay. What about LuLaRoeFashionFundamentals.com? What is that website for?
It's the same thing, isn't it?
I asked you about LuLaRoeFashionFund.com versus LuLaRoeFashionFundamentals.com.
I don't believe FashionFundamentals.com is a website we...
Oh, okay. So it's LuLaRoeFashionFund.com is the website that you're aware of?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of LuLaRoeCustom.com?
No.
What about LuLaRoePromo.com?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know what it's for.
Okay. LuLaRoeSupply.com?
Yes.
What is that?
I don't know what it is now, but what it was is a place to buy merch with the LuLaRoe logo on it, or maybe fun T-shirts we had at an event that the public couldn't have, or things like that.
Okay. Are you aware of any mobile apps that LuLaRoe currently has or has had in the past?
Yes.
What apps are you aware of?
LuLaRoe Events app. I believe retailers have a Bless app, which is basically just a processing app.
Was the LuLaRoe Events app used for events like Vision?
Yes.
Was it used for anything else?
Leadership and cruise. And basically anything else that the events team needed to use it for.
Was the Bless app used for anything aside from processing transactions?
I don't have access to the Bless app because I am not an independent fashion retailer, so I don't know the answer to that question.
Are you aware of any other apps put out by LuLaRoe?
No.
Did you sometimes share copies of closed captioning or transcripts with IFRs who asked for the transcript?
I cannot confirm or deny. I don't recall.
Okay. Did you sometimes share copies of transcripts with IFRs who missed a particular training and wanted to see a transcript?
I cannot confirm. I don't recall.
Oh, here it is.
There's a spot for a short break. I just need to use the restroom at some point. I don't think we need a full break.
I have 2 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay. I don't want to keep you waiting if you really need to go.
No. I'd let you know if we got to that point.
Fair enough. I've been known to just run through.
Thank you.
I'm marking as exhibit number 72, LLR-WA00050731. Jordan, are you a recipient of this email?
Yes.
And what do you understand the attachment to this email to be? Or sorry, what is the attachment?
Attached transcript for the above-mentioned event is what the email says, and above that it says LuLaRoe Field Trainers, just like the last one.
Okay. So this is it appears that the field trainers webinar happened more than once, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you turn to the page ending in 50743? Who's Monday?
I'm actually asking myself that question.
Okay. If you look on the page ending in 50733, your responsibility is to help find speakers for the calls?
Sometimes.
And to prepare for the calls, generally, did you give retailers any sort of direction or preparation?
I would typically ask them what they think the field could really use right now and what your portion of what you feel like you're doing really well at and what do you feel the field could hear right now. And then I would tell them when it would be, how long they should speak, and if they have any questions, they can hit me up before and I'll send you the link.
Okay. So your preparation with a retailer who might be speaking on a call would typically involve a phone call?
Yeah.
Okay. And any other communications?
If they had any questions, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Any specific instructions that you would give a retailer who was invited to speak on a call?
Yeah, get on 10 minutes before to make sure your computer works, and that you have the app installed on your phone for if you're doing it from your phone. Just basics on how to Zoom is finicky.
Did you ever give a retailer who was invited to speak on a call any instructions as to content?
I don't remember specifically.
Were there things that you typically told retailers not to say on a call?
Not typically, over and over and over again.
You're thinking of some examples where it might have happened once?
Yeah, talking about my parents' divorce or questions that come through about my parents' divorce. That's personal.
Okay. Outside of topics of a personal nature, were there any other topics that you instructed retailers not to talk about?
I don't recall.
Do you recall receiving any instruction from anyone else in home office as to what retailers should or shouldn't say on a call?
Yes.
What instructions?
I mean, following policies and procedures, things of the nature of income claims or lifestyle claims.
And when did you receive these instructions?
I don't remember. I don't
Was it
recall.
recently?
I don't recall.
And-
Actually, to clarify, I don't know if I ever actually received instruction to tell retailers what to say. It was more so putting that together in my head.
Got it. I want to ask you, so on the page ending in 50743, almost said Anthony.
Yes.
It says, Jordan, love it, how large is your inventory? Do you see that? Inventory a retailer should carry?
I don't know if they ever have taken an official stance, no.
Thank you. We can go off the record.
Off the record, the time is 11:53 a.m.
Just because I'm supposed to disclose things